When formatting for digital space, we again have three key factors just like we did for print in the last chapter. Our main concerns are color space, dimension and resolution, and file format. For digital space, the color mode we want for digital mediums is RGB, red, green, and blue, the colors in our digital displays. In the last chapter, we explained how designing for print, we had to anticipate how the colors shown on screen would be converted once printed. Of course, working in digital space for digital medium means any color we pick will work. However, I still need to point out that colors can appear different from monitor to monitor. Color calibration of displays can become quite a significant part of your production process, and indeed is an integral part of high-end graphics design and media production. Even for us as scientists, researchers, and scientific visualizers, color calibration issues can impact our projects in very real ways. For example, the vibrancy of colors can become illegible on certain screens or cause discomfort in others. Certain blue hues may appear more purple on one display, while appearing more turquoise on another, which can be potentially problematic if you're communicating with your audiences by referring to these colors by name in contextual or supporting materials. Without getting too much into color theory, the practical guide to such situations is to avoid using harsh, vibrant colors when possible, and if you do use them, be wary of how they may be contrasting or harmonizing with other colors and elements on the page. When it comes to the dimension of your graphics, you'll often be more interested in the absolute pixel or point dimensions of your image than how it's measured in inches or centimeters. The reason is, often your web or interface designs will be spec'd out this way, and also because a pixel will have different real-world sizes depending on the display type. The few times you'll want to measure your graphics in inches will be when you're creating print-ready PDFs or other dual-purpose graphics, in which case you'll be treating them as print projects anyways. So given all this, when does resolution come into play? 72 pixels per inch, or PPI, is the standard resolution setting for most displays, even though 72 pixels may not always measure up to an actual real-world inch. Designating your files to be 72 ppi is still important, however, so that your images will still align properly and relatively to everything else you see on screen. If you're creating something specifically for high-density or retina displays, of course, you'll be wanting to double your resolution to 144 ppi. Finally, when it comes to exporting, you have a large number of possible options. TIFFs and JPEGs, which were featured as common print formats, will also work for digital displays. And so will almost all the other options you see here in this menu. The real factor then is to figure out what formats your end destination can handle. So, printer and publisher specifications aside, you may want to use JPEGs if you're distributing your images over email, for example. Or if it's feeding into another pipeline, let's say into a website design, you might want to use PNGs to be able to retain the alpha or transparency effects of your image. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to dive into each file format in detail, but know that each one stores and compresses information differently, so it may take some testing to figure out which one will be best suited for your specific needs. And that's the brief summary of factors that you'll need to consider as you're creating your digital pieces. If formatting and calibration is something you'd like to find out more about, as I mentioned in the last chapter, we do cover some of these topics in much more detail as they apply to Photoshop and Illustrator in their respective scientific visualization courses. So check those out if you get a chance.